friends, this is Liz from A Journey with Dee and Liz, and today we're going to be videoing part 1 of our garden and outdoor spaces. I have Dee is on camera, so we're going to be filming starting with our front porch. And over here is a Boston fern, one of my most favorite plants. They're low maintenance, like some water, like some shade, and they're actually considered a perennial because they don't fully die oftentimes, and they can be revived. And so we have 2 of them, one on each end, and they get enough shade up here so that they don't turn brown. Then we have a geranium over here that's pink, but it currently is not blooming. I deadheaded it the other day, but as you can see, we have some little blooms that will eventually come back out again because they're reblooming. And we have a sweet potato vine with that. And over here we have another one, equally as pink, and it too is deadheaded, so I don't have any blooms on it, but we will have some soon. And we have some creeping Jenny coming off of that, and they like the sun on the front porch. And we have a little Japanese peach tree there that's small, but it will turn into a tree, and it will have little baby peaches on it, and eventually I'm going to get it in the ground in the back. So let's go down and take a look at the front flower bed. As you come up the sidewalk, we have 3 azalea plants, and these are reblooming, although they haven't bloomed this summer yet. I anticipate that they're going to bloom way into fall because we moved over in October and they were in form on them, so I'm waiting. I have fertilized them, and you know, azaleas, they like that acidic soil, so I wasn't sure exactly what the soil was here, but I did put a fertilizer around them that had a touch of acid in it. But we have some, in front of those, we have some liriope, and we planted 4. And I'll tell you about the little issue we've had. We have some little rabbits that call this place their home, and they have visited me just about every night, and they're chewing away at the little green leaves here. I've tried several things, garlic, repellent. Nothing seems to work, so Dee has told me to put out some red pepper flakes, so that's what I'm going to do next. But I hope they leave them alone. I've grown these plants in my previous home for about 30 years, and I loved them. They make a wonderful border. And over on this side, I have a container pot with red geraniums, a spiky plant, and some creeping Jenny. And we removed a shrub right there, so I thought that was a great place to put them. In front, we have some, let me see what the name of them are, additional azaleas. They're called Autumn Majesty, and they bloom in spring, summer, and fall. I just put these in maybe 3 weeks ago, so we don't have anything blooming yet, but they look like really nice, healthy plants. I got those from Lowe's. And in front, we have some more of the liriope. And the lovely little rabbit has began eating on that one right there. And in the back, we have some existing holly bushes, which I like, and we'll have a little bit of maintenance with those, but this is pretty much a maintenance-free bed because all of these are perennials, and they'll continue to come back without a lot of trouble. We have another holly tree over here, and this has been real good at Christmas time. You can take a few little snips here and there and decorate with it. But that's pretty much my front beds. We do have some trees growing over here, but nothing that I've had to do anything with, so it's low maintenance as well. And So if you'll give us a couple of minutes, we're going to make our way to the back and we'll show you what's growing out there. We're out back now at my place, and I just wanted to briefly show you that I have a few things in pots over here because it's a little shady at times over here, and I think most of these like shade. We have about 2 of the blue hostas and 1 of the variegated hostas over there, and of course it's already showing some of its blooms, the purple blooms. And these will also have some purple blooms at some point in time. But we have some vinca, and that's one of probably 2 annuals that I have in my yard this year. Have some with some creeping jenny, and a little bit more up in here with some creeping jenny. And then we have a spearmint plant right here, which needs the help of Dee because it's looking a little puny right now. And we have some catnip back there. But and then we just have this little wind apparatus here. I didn't know where to put it, so I just stuck it back here. And I'm thinking the people who had this house before we did had a drainage issue, and that's why they created this rocky area here. But it works out, you know. So let's go this way and talk about the plants in this bed here. And these are knockout roses, and I think they're double bloomers, but they bloomed early in spring. I came out headed them the other day, and they popped out again with some lovely blooms, but I had pruned them the end of February. This is a crepe myrtle. It hasn't bloomed yet, but we're beginning to see a few little buds pop out. It's going to be pink like another one. And the thing that I have to say about that is, because it is a tree, try to space your roses at least 3 feet apart, and try not to put a big tree in the middle of them because they end up growing together. And here we have another knockout rose, very the same as that one over there, and it has these beautiful peachy colored blooms. Now this is a blue spruce shrub, and it's low maintenance. I trimmed a little bit on him, but you really don't have to do much with it. These are pink canna lilies, and they grow from a bulb. They are perennials, and I had dug up a whole bunch because they were so packed in, and set those aside to replant later. But a few little bulbs and plants were left, so I thought, well, hey, they'll look pretty in the garden anyway. And then there's another blue spruce, but what we have right here is a calla lily. And this is a beauty that we got at Aldi this year for probably about $8, I think, but he's kind of a purpley red. He's gorgeous, low maintenance, grows from a rhizome. Then we have another crepe myrtle. No blooms on him yet, but hopefully he'll do well. And the thing with crepe myrtles, just very quickly, is that they grow very big roots. So if you put them in a bed, you're going to probably have to move them at some point in time, and you'll have to dig up a lot of roots. And they kind of are invasive, so they'll take over. Here's a knockout rose that I planted this year, and it's beautiful, and it's pink, and it's done real well. Now the little rabbit tried to break the branches. He didn't eat it, but he tried to break the branches, so I had to put this little fencing around him. And they say rabbits don't like to see their selves in a mirror, so I hung a mirror right there. Then we have a hibiscus over here, and this is one I salvaged from last year. I kept it out on the deck, but I covered it up from the bad weather, and it's come back out, and it's finally beginning to bloom. And we have a red rose, knockout rose, which I planted, and this one, the rabbit was having a field day breaking the branches. Wouldn't eat it, just broke the branches, so I put another cage around it. Then we have a lovely little light made of hummingbirds, and this comes on at night, so it's solar. And my best friend gave it to me, if you can figure out who that is. And we have some Asiatic
lilies back here, but they bloomed out the last 2 weeks and no blooms now, but they were real pretty. Comes from Asia. This is another calla lily, and it's a red and golden in color. Another crepe myrtle. Now these do get pests. They get Japanese beetles and all kinds of things eating on them, but here it is. We have a daisy plant, and she's just about seen her last pretty day, and I think the birds like to eat the little seeds, so I'll leave it there for them. We have 3 peonies, and they had the most gorgeous, huge blooms. They were purpley pink, and they're not going to bloom anymore, but they really put on a show. We had 3 plants just covered in blooms, and I took in a lot of bouquets. And this is called, if I can pronounce it, Caucasian crane's bill. That's a lot to say, but it is purple and white, and it's a perennial who comes back every year. And I have some more lilies over there behind the crepe myrtle. You just can't see them. Here are iris. These are yellow. Frankly, I'd never seen any irises that put out this kind of greenery, but and I'm not sure what that is, but it's growing great. They probably need to be divided. In fact, I read that most bulbs need to be divided about every 3 to 5 years. What we've got here are azaleas, and they bloom pink, and I know that because we moved in October, and these had blooms on them as well as those out front. And there's another one over on that side, and then we have a lovely magnolia tree which has these beautiful white blooms, and more yellow irises, but of course they bloomed already, so nothing but the foliage. And then we're going to go over here where there are hydrangeas. Now there are 80 to 90 different species of hydrangeas. So these are different in that 3 of them are alike, and I'm not sure what the variety is. There's many varieties for each species, but these have the small limbs and they have the cone-shaped blooms. And these I pruned in early spring. This one is a limelight, and you can tell it's got white blooms and it's got lime-colored blooms, and some kind of little critter's been eating on it, but I tell you, I have enjoyed cutting clippings off of this and taking them into the house because they're such glorious blooms. And this one is not as old as those over there. I think these have been here for a number of years. This one blooms off of new wood. Those bloom off of old wood. We're going to move over to my patio now and talk about the things over here. This year I bought some white pots, and I knew I was going to plant daylilies in them. And they're a hardy plant. Sometimes they don't even need much water at all. And even though they're called lilies, they're really not, because they don't grow from a bulb. They have a thick root system that provides them with good nourishment. But I've got those in 4 pots around my patio, and they'll bloom probably until really cold weather. And then next year, if I want to leave them in the pots, I can. If I want to put them in my flower bed, I can do that too. But the only thing we really added to our furniture this year for the patio was this bench. and it's weather resistant, and so at least 3 people can sit there, so I think that will be good. And we still had our white furniture. We had this little set over here and those chairs and a little table, but we're trying to make do with what we have. And I love the green and the white together because I want the flowers to be the pop of color that brings things together out here. And so we have the hibiscus that has bloomed multiple times, and he's still blooming and looking really, really healthy. We've got some vinca, which is an annual, and it's been beaten down by the heat that we've been having for about the last 3 days, but he's still blooming. We've got a coleus, and I thought that was most beautiful with the purple and the green, and it's an annual or can be a perennial depending on what weather zone you're in. This is another knockout rose. It's red. It just doesn't happen to be blooming right now, but eventually I'll get that in the ground. We have a begonia over here, which I don't know, it may be getting too much sun. It looks very fragile. I've certainly watered it, so I'm not sure. But we have some creeping Jenny, and we have a most interesting little plant. I dug this out of the flower bed because it wasn't blooming. I didn't know what it was, and it's grown about 8 inches since I dug it out and put it in a pot. But it's called a balloon plant because of these little buds, and then it blooms out into a star shape, and the stars are purple or pink, and we happen to be graced with a pink one, which I like that. I'm going to eventually get that in the flower bed. And then we have a Boston fir again. You know how well I like those, and it's doing real well back here. And then we have a mosquito plant, which hopefully will guard the mosquitoes from coming in the patio door. But that's pretty much it. We pruned in late February most of the trees. We pruned the hydrangeas in March. And we threw 20 bags of mulch. So we've worked really hard back here, and I hope that you like what you saw. And we'll talk to you later.
All right, friends, so we're on Liz's patio having us a little iced tea. We've come to the end of part 1 of our outdoor garden spaces and patio tour. I'll be back shortly with part 2, so please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe.
Leave us a comment, please. We really enjoy hearing what you think. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you in the next one.